Aaron.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say it the first time I said Aaron?
Because it's pronounced Aaron.
You done messed up, Aaron.
Aaron is here on a unscheduled Wednesday Night Live Q&A just for the heck of it because it's Wednesday. Guys, I was about to title this thing Thursday Night Live Q&A, and then I was like, I can't make the same mistake last week. Is it really Thursday? No, it's not Thursday. I should know that. I just put the trash out. That means it's Wednesday night. Tomorrow's trash day. So, and by the way, let me throw up another SPTV logo. We've got like 100 different SPTV logos now, and we're gonna keep cycling through them. We're gonna keep using different ones, and shout out to all the channels out there on the interwebs. I guess we're just talking about YouTube here, who want to be part of SPTV because it's not a real thing. It's just something we've made up. And as long as you're not a Scientologist and you would like to, say, welcome to SPTV, Mark Headley will send you an invite to the Dropbox file that has all of the SPTV logos. It's not a trademark. It's not a secret. No one owns it. No one controls it. It's a funny thing. We're obviously doing it to troll the hell out of Scientology and David Miscavige with their Scientology TV. So a good troll. The better the troll, let me see, I don't know, what would the analogy be? The better the troll is, the farther and wide it will spread. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so let's see. I've only uploaded a couple of these logos to my channel so far. This one I absolutely love. It reminds me of Nintendo. It reminds me of the 90s. It reminds me of MTV. And this one is just awesome because I love how it looks like it was written with colored pencil, and I just love it. So there we go, guys. Hold on. I won't leave that there all night. I also feel like I'm already getting like separation anxiety. We're all going on this big cruise this weekend. We're going to be out of town for like a week. We don't know. When I say we, I'm talking about me, my family, the Rinder family, the Headley family, and some other families. There's tons of kids involved. It's going to be absolutely insane. It's one of these massive ships that we're going on. We've done a ton of these cruises, but we've never gone on one of the Oasis class ships before. So it's essentially an SP cruise. We were talking about on one of the Q&As a couple nights ago about organizing a big SP cruise. We are essentially going on an SP cruise, otherwise known as a Tom cruise. And so anyway, now that I have like as little time as possible to do anything, I'm feeling compelled to do more than usual. It's, I don't know. It's one of those funny things. If I have a lot of time to get something done, I'll get almost nothing done. If I have a very little bit of time to get something done, I'll actually be quite productive. So I figured, why not do a Q&A? Because who knows what's happening tomorrow, guys. I mean, we are driving to the port at like 3 o'clock on Saturday morning. Who knows what's going on tomorrow and tomorrow evening. So just figured, why not? Let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Hello, Kylie. Hello, Kim. Hello, Unchained Dragon. Susan, Cornelius. Tribalism binds them, blinds them, but not you, right? Very nice name. Anyway, Nasty Nathaniel, always good to see you in the chat. And so many more. All right, let's see here. Hold on, here we go. Maxwell Edison's mom. Not sure if I can handle you guys being gone for a whole week. Might have withdrawals. Well, I'm not sure I can handle being gone for a whole week as well, which is why I'm bringing the laptop. I'm bringing the mic. I'm bringing the cords and the cables. Maybe I'll bring one of these lights. The ship has like a Starlink satellite connection, and we do not know how fast and strong the connection is going to be. But if the connection is fast and strong enough, we absolutely will be doing live streams from the ship. And, I don't really have a need to go on vacation. This is really something for the kids. As far as I'm concerned, every day is a vacation. Every day I do whatever I want when I want. If I want to go to the beach, I'll go to the beach. I live right near the beach. I don't go to the beach. I don't love the beach. It's not a big deal for me. If I want to go to Busch Gardens and go on the roller coasters, I go to Busch Gardens. I go on the roller coasters. If I want to sleep in, I sleep in. Every day is a vacation for me. Vacations are stressful because vacations are for the kids. That's one of the things that's going to be interesting about being on one of these gigantic ships. I'm pretty much counting. I think we're all pretty much counting on the kids just basically disappearing, having a grand old time, and showing up every evening for dinner. That's kind of what happened on the last cruise. And the last cruise wasn't even one of these super massive ships. So, I mean, I've got stuff to do. I've got a 45-hour continuing ed course I got to finish for my realtor license renewal. It's my first renewal, so it's the most important one. If I don't get it done in time, my license is like null and void. So I got to get that done. And I'm like, you know what? Between working on my real estate course, having some coffee, working on some videos. Oh, I have recorded a bunch of interviews that I'll have time on the cruise to edit and upload interviews while I'm gone. So that'll help a little bit. So thank you, Maxwell Edison's mom. Always good to see you in the chat. And I see one here. Ramble on. Aaron, pre-record some vids to release while y'all are gone. I'll tell you what, that was the plan. That's what I told myself in my head every day for the last 4 weeks. I'm just going to pre-record a bunch of videos and have a bunch ready to go. But you guys know me, man. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to those uploads. It's impossible for me to record something and stick it in my pocket for later, except for interviews, because I like to edit interviews. When I like to interview someone and have them be comfortable that if they say something wrong, it's not going out live to the world. So I do have interviews I've already recorded, and I'm going to do 2, maybe even 3 more between now and the end of Friday. And have those to record. And so those are good. Yeah, no. I mean, you guys know if I'm really on a roll, I'll upload 4 or 5 videos in a day. You know, that's what Mark and Mike like to tease me about that. But you know what? I tease them as well, because I don't think they could do 4 or 5 videos even if they had all the time in the world. No, I'm sort of teasing. Mark's a pretty tech savvy guy. But editing is a real pain in the butt. In fact, guys, it's why I do so many lives. Recording a video and then editing a video. I mean, I guess depending on how you record it and how the workflow is optimized. But I'll tell you, there have been times where it has taken me 4 or 5 hours to edit what ends up being a 20-minute video. And I'll tell you what, guys, that's just not a good use of time. So thank you, Ramble On, for the comment. Okay, let's see. Danny Crook. 1 vote for an SPTV fans cigar lounge sesh. I really like that idea. Or if the cruise has a lounge. Oh, you mean on the boat? So 1 vote for an SPTV fans cigar lounge sesh. Or if the cruise has a lounge on board, even better. Oh, I see. That's it. Okay. A Zoom herf one evening. A Zoom herf one evening would be neat. Thanks for the steady stream of content, Aaron. There is a cigar called the SP 1014. Is there really? We'll have to look that one up and order some. You know, I'm almost positive there is a cigar lounge on this thing. Now, whether they would let us, you know, drag a computer in there. And also, we've never really experimented with how to do live streams with multiple of us in the same location. Like when Mark Headley was here over, was it New Year's? I think it was New Year's. He and I did a thing together right here in this recording space, but we didn't even have 2 microphones. We were literally just sitting side by side sharing the same microphone. Here's what I can tell you. Me, Mark, and Mike are all bringing laptops. We're all bringing microphones. We're all bringing headphones. You know, some of these little lights are so tiny and they fold up so tiny. I'll probably just at least bring 1 light. If we can do it, we're going to do it. And God, that would just be so much fun. Thank you for that, Danny. I appreciate it. Valerie Boljack. Question. When Sea Org don't get paid, what about toiletries? 6 months of no pay means 6 months of toothpaste. Wait, 6 months of no pay mean 6 months of toothpaste and soap. So I'll tell you, I've never known of a Sea Org member who, meaning I've never been aware. I'm not saying it's never occurred. I've never been aware of a Sea Org member who was unable by any means to lay their hands on some soap and some toothpaste. I mean, worst case scenario, you just go to the canteen and you steal it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not like the supplies don't exist. Some Sea Org members, a lot of Sea Org members these days, because a lot of these Sea Org members are younger, second generation members, have family outside of the Sea Org who give them money. Me personally, I already had some money. I had credit cards. Also, as a Sea Org member, you can rack up a lot of credit card debt and make like tiny minimum payments. You know what I mean? Like even you could probably even service a couple $1,000s of credit card debt with your $50 Sea Org pay. I don't remember what the minimum payments on something like that would be. But let's see. Let me make sure I'm not brushing off the question. When Sea Org didn't get paid, what about toiletries? Yeah, I mean, if you couldn't afford toiletries, you're going to steal the toiletries, whether you're stealing it from your roommate, stealing it from the bathrooms of the org. And then the toilet paper would never be a problem. Well, you didn't say toilet paper, toiletries, toothpaste and soap. Yeah. I mean, if you really can't afford it, you're just going to steal it. I was never in that situation. I imagine some of the younger Sea Org members when I was there probably didn't care that much about their hygiene. There certainly was a handful of them that seemed to care not at all about their hygiene. But anyway, you get the idea. Thank you, Scott, for the super sticker. Much appreciated there. John, I hope you guys have a great trip. Well, thank you so much. I mean, we are definitely going to have a great trip. Like I said, we've done this. I mean, we've been doing this every year, at least once a year for, I don't know, it feels like 6 years now. And realize I've got 3 girls. Headley's got 3 boys. Mike and Christy have 2 boys. Another family coming has 4 kids. Everywhere we go is we are a self-contained circus. And luckily the kids all get along, age appropriately. The little kids get along with the little kids. The big kids get along with the big kids. And I'm really hoping that on a ship this massive, I mean, it's one of those floating, I mean, there's only so many Oasis class ships in the world, right? And I'm just hoping that there's so many kids there that they just find other packs of kids and they're just roaming like lords of the flies on the high seas or something like that. They're all gonna, it's going to be a great time. Thank you, John. Okay, Scott, again, local bookstore had Scientology books in the cult section. LOL. I'm surprised they had them at all. On the one hand, these bookstores tend to be just inundated with Scientology books because Scientologists are convinced by Scientology to buy so many copies of the same books that Scientologists sort of end up stuffing these used bookstores full of merchandise, because to a Scientologist, it feels wrong. It feels like an overt to actually like just throw away or destroy these materials. And they're like, why don't we just load up all the local bookstores, all the local used bookstores with our stuff? So on that count, it doesn't surprise me that these bookstores have product, but it does surprise me that they keep them in stock. Like, who's going into these places and buying Scientology books? And if this merch doesn't move, why keep it on the shelves? But then again, I imagine the used bookstore industry in general is kind of a challenged industry. Maybe they welcome all those Scientology books, taking up space, making it look like the bookstore is kind of a hip hop happening place to be. I've been getting a lot of photos recently from people who find these Scientology books, not just the books, but the giant lecture clamshells. If you guys Google it, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you go onto like Scientology's website and see what their lecture series look like, they're all in these kind of big plastic clamshell things. Kind of ironic, right? Because people like to call Scientologists clams sometimes. And yeah, I've just been getting so many photos lately of bookstores with these things on their shelves. It's wild. Thank you, Scott. Okay, I see a comment from Pamela Backshell. Confused and bewildered. Has spent ages trying to work out this super chat. How can the planet be cleared when it's the BTs that are the problem? Love from Scarborough, Yorkshire. Confused and bewildered has spent ages trying to work out this super chat. I hope you just mean trying to figure out how it works. It took me a while to figure out. I'd never done super chats before until I started jumping into Mark and Claire's chats and then Mike's chats. And I was like, I don't understand. I couldn't figure out, like I knew I could figure out how to make a comment. I could figure out how to select the super chat button, but it took me a while to realize where you're supposed to type the text after you hit the super chat button. It was very confusing to me. And I've, been kind of a YouTube guy for a number of years now. So I'm not surprised someone would be having trouble figuring it out. Okay, so here's how the planet gets cleared, even if the BTs are the problem. If you're auditing on, I guess, 3, 5, or 7, 3, 4, 5, or 7, OT 3, 4, 5, or 7, the idea is that when you get the BT to blow, which means you've broken it up from the cluster, you've audited it on the process that they give you, particularly on OT7, and the BT has the realization, I am me. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, but I didn't do OT7. But I've heard a lot of the stories. That BT is supposed to be cleared. That BT is supposed to no longer have its reactive mind. You cleared that BT. That BT now goes and shoots into a body and grows up as a clear, and ideally gets into Scientology. So yeah, that is why Scientologists who are auditing on OT7 actually think that by auditing, telepathically auditing these spirits, these thetans, they are helping clear the planet. It's actually kind of brilliant from an execution strategy, because clearing a BT in a session, you could clear, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of BTs in a session. I don't think it's just one BT per session, right? I don't know. You guys, you OTs in the chat, jump in and let me know. It is so much easier and faster and cheaper than actually trying to clear a real human being, a real body. It takes hundreds, many hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of hours of Scientology auditing, which is not cheap. And if you don't want to pay for it and you want to learn how to do it, it takes years to learn how to do it. So many hundreds, if not thousands of hours of auditing to create a so-called Scientology clear. Don't get me wrong. I don't believe in the state of clear. But it's expensive and it's time consuming. It's very resource heavy. And yet if you're on OT7, you can just clear these BTs, in seconds and everything, and you're helping to clear the planet. That's a really good question. That is a good question. Thank you for that one. All right, I see one from Lisa Floyd. Hey, Aaron, when you left Scientology, what did you do with your time? I'm ex-Mormon, and the church kept me busy. Suddenly, I had all this time I had no idea what to do with. Eventually, I took up juggling. Amazing. So for me, the way I would answer your question is not relating to the point at which I left Scientology itself, but when I left the C organization, because just being a Scientologist doesn't necessarily take up all your time. I mean, I know many public Scientologists, between work and their course and their auditing, it does take up all their time. But it's when you're in this Sea Org that Scientology itself literally takes up all of your time. 100+ hours a week. So as soon as I left the Sea Org, I'd had a lot of experience on staff and in the Sea Org in what you might call an executive role. I'd had a bunch of training, both on the technical side, but also on the administrative side. So when I left the Sea Org and we went to Clearwater, Florida, where my wife's parents were living, their neighbor just happened to own one of these Scientology business consulting groups, these WISE consulting groups, the World Institute of Scientology Enterprises. And he owned the consulting company called Measurable Solutions, and they specifically consulted privately owned physical therapy clinics. So he offered me a job on the spot, sight unseen. And so I started basically being a business consultant. I had absolutely no idea what to do with myself. Everyone would take a break for lunch and I'd be done eating in like 3 minutes. And I'd be like, what am I just supposed to sit here the rest of the time? What am I supposed to walk around the block? What am I supposed to do? There was no students to work with. There was no clients to work with. Everybody was at lunch. I'm like, we're just supposed to have lunch for an hour? We're just supposed to do nothing? That doesn't seem like an efficient use of time. And literally, I'd be walking around the block calling people like, I don't know what to do. I'm just I got 45 minutes before we're supposed to get back to work. I don't know. Seems like kind of a waste of time here, if you ask me. And so it was very strange. It was very strange. It is very hard to adjust to the fact that relaxing is just something that's okay. In the Sea Org, it's literally not okay. It's just called slacking off. You're slacking off. You're slacking off. Like, look, if you're caught doing anything that's not production during production time, you're in trouble. And production time is all the time. And meal time is 30 minutes. And that includes the time it takes to get to the cafeteria, wait in line, go to the bathroom, do whatever. So, I mean, it's 30 minutes from the time post ends to the time you have, muster to get ready for the next shift of work, if you will. So it was a challenge, but now I got to tell you, I've perfected it. I have perfected doing nothing. I can do nothing with the best of them. I'm very good at being productive when I very much need to be, but otherwise I relish my downtime. And now my downtime, this is my downtime now, guys. I'm chatting with you guys. This is more fun to me doing a chat with you guys doing this than like just laying in bed watching Apple TV or something. Speaking of which, have you guys all seen The Last of Us? If you don't have Apple TV, you've got to get Apple TV. You got to get Apple TV to watch The Last of Us and to watch Shrinking. Never mind the other shows that I finished, seasons ago. Anyway, thank you for the question, Lisa. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Chitza. Did Boss Baby Dave ever do a stint in the RPF? Oh, no. Boss Baby Captain Keebler Miscavige has never done a stint in the RPF. By the way, I remember there was a comment I saw earlier that I forgot to answer, unfortunately. And it was, now that the Sea Org, now that Miscavige has canceled the RPF, has anything taken its place? Well, there is something called the DPF, the Dex Project Force, or being put on the decks. And apparently the DPF has become much more popular these days now that the RPF is no longer a thing. And they are, well, yeah, that's the simple answer. I could go on a couple different tangents there, but I won't. Thank you, Chitza. I appreciate it. Ben Love, is this New Zealand? It's time to produce OT 9 and 10. Perhaps we can use AI to generate it for the world. Got to get clear somehow. P.S. OT 1 through 8 is on WikiLeaks if anyone wants to check it out. Yeah, I think there's many places online where the OT level documents are available. But, it might be a really entertaining contest, game, whatever. Probably something that Mark and Claire would do. Mark and Claire are really good at like organizing things. Do you see all the work that goes into them organizing the Mike Rinder bobblehead pictures and the David Miscavige shoops? That's the kind of stuff you would never see me do that on this channel. Not because it's not an incredible idea and absolutely hilarious, but because I am not organized and diligent enough to do that. I swear to God, I have some version of ADD or ADHD. I am convinced of it. It's been a problem for a long time. I should say a problem in the sense that it's something I struggle with. Clearly, I do okay regardless, but I could never do that kind of stuff that Mark and Claire are doing, the amount of time and work that it takes to do that properly. So I'm mentioning all that because it seems to me that doing a little contest or some sort of competition or compilation of various versions, proposals for what should be OT 9 and 10 sounds like something that is right up Mark's alley. Now I know he's already got a pretty full YouTube schedule. They've got a schedule ironed out there, but that's a perfect example. Mark and Claire have a YouTube schedule. I don't have a YouTube schedule because I could never be organized enough to set a schedule and stick to it. I don't even know what videos I'm going to do when I wake up in the morning. I don't even know how many of them I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to have them done by. And yet somehow I've still managed to upload videos every single day for the last, I don't know, probably getting on 8 months now. I think July is when I really started uploading every month. I don't know how many months that is, guys. I grew up in a cult. I can't keep track of these things. But I got to tell you, some sort of competition for what is OT 9 and 10 or what they would be is absolutely hilarious. And hey, maybe it's something that one of the other up and coming channels on SPTV wants to take under their wing and do. That would be amazing. Thank you for that, Ben. I appreciate that. Okay, I see a comment here from Bean Sprout Mama. I live in the Bay Area, California. Do you know why there are so many Scientology orgs here? Are they even active? Yes. The answer is because there's a lot of money there. And also a lot of the rich, I'm going to call them rich hippies, but I could be wrong. The people like the Feshbacks, they came from the Bay Area or San Jose. I don't know. Is San Jose the Bay Area? I don't know these things, guys. So back in the day, the Bay Area, so I'm going to say some shit that I'm just kind of pulling out of my butt because I think it's true, but someone could easily come along and correct me on this. Back in the day, there was a lot of hippies getting into Scientology, and there were a lot of hippies in the Bay Area. Is that right? It sounds right. Is that right? That's how I think about it. When you think about why did all the Scientology was sort of spreading pretty well in LA and up through San Francisco, because they were all a bunch of hippies and a bunch of them had a lot of money. I mean, that sounds like a really good answer to that question. And I think it's the right answer. It's not like there's any super special answer other than that's where the people were who had the interest and the time and the money to do Scientology. So, yeah. Hey, any of you guys that actually got into Scientology in the 60s and the 70s in the Bay Area and whatnot, let me know. Am I far off the mark or did I hit it right on the head? I'm pretty sure I hit it right on the head. Thank you for that one. All right, let's see. Greg Candy, have you ever visited the Church of Scientology Mission of Anchorage? Do you guys have any idea how many comments and emails I get about Scientology in Alaska and Anchorage? It is unbelievable. It is completely disproportionate to the size or interest of and in Scientology in Alaska and Anchorage. So I've never visited the Church of Scientology Mission of Anchorage because I've never visited Anchorage. And if I did visit Anchorage, I was going to say I probably wouldn't go to visit the mission. But the truth is, if I went all the way to Anchorage, I probably would go over to visit the mission just to say that I had. Greg, I'm curious if you're asking this question because you live in Anchorage. Do you have any friends or family associated with the mission of Anchorage? Or do you just have a soft spot in your heart for Anchorage? Now I got to know. The people have got to know. Thank you, Greg, for the super chat. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see. Andy, need some water. Getting a little dry. All righty. Andy Law 50. Oh my goodness, Andy. Thank you. That's very generous. Hi, AA Ron. I was once asked if I wanted to take part in a personality test in Germany. I now realize this was a Dianetics Scientology approach. Oof. These days I work as a writer for Everyday Astronaut. Oh, get out of here. I absolutely love Everyday Astronaut. So thanks for your kind words for his channel. I'm going to get his name wrong. It's Todd. Is it? I can't remember if Todd is the first name or the last name, but I'm going to look it up real quick right here. Everyday Astronaut. Tim Dodd. You guys, hey, if you're watching my stream here, I don't know if you love space, if you love rockets, if you love the stars. Everyday Astronaut Tim Dodd has one of the best channels in the genre. And get this, he's going to the moon. One of these rich guys is sponsoring a bunch of tickets on like he's literally been chosen as one of like six or a crew of 5 or 6 or 7 people who are flying on a mission to the frickin' moon. And it was actually, there's 2 people when they appeared on Lex Fridman's podcast made me go, oh my God, I cannot believe those guys are so lucky. These guys with YouTube channels are so lucky to be on Lex's podcast. That when Lex finally messaged me, I was like, is this a joke? Like, are you pranking me right now? And Tim Dodd was one of them. Tim did a 5-hour interview with Lex Fridman, all about rockets, which was fascinating. I watched all 5 hours of it. And I actually teased Lex when I got to his place I told him, I said, look, I've watched all your recent videos. I watched your interview with this astronomer. I forget his name. And I said, I watched your 16-hour interview with Tim Dodd. And to be fair, that joke kind of went right over Lex's head. So anyway, thank you, Andy. Yes, you definitely, you were definitely asked to take a personality test by a Scientologist. And someone, Mike Rinder, on one of his recent Q&As, actually went into some detail about the exact person who created that personality test, and that L. Ron Hubbard specifically asked him to create the test for one reason only, so that Scientology registrars would have something they could use as a crutch to sell Scientology to people. Oh, look, the test says you're weak in this area. Scientology can help you with that. Or actually, the test gets the person to talk, and then based on what the person says, you sell them. The test says you're having trouble with this. Tell me more about that. Whatever the person says, you then jump in for the kill and say, Scientology can help you with that and this and that. And what's incredible to me when Mike told this story was that L. Ron Hubbard specifically asked for the test to be created for this ulterior motive of just selling Scientology. And yet the use of the test progressed to the point where the test is actually used as one of the key indicators of whether a person is going to be allowed to attest to the state of clear or progress onto the OT levels. Isn't that remarkable? I think it's a perfect example of L. Ron Hubbard buying his own BS. He knew this test didn't really measure anything. He just asked some random dude to create this test for him. And yet the test is also called the Oxford Capacity Analysis Test, the OCA. Your OCA, all your points in the OCA have to be above the center line in order for you to be allowed to either attest to clear or to attest to finishing your OT preps or to be invited onto the OT levels in each successive OT level. So Scientologists really do put actual real value into that test, even beyond as just a sales tool, even though Hubbard only had it created as a sales tool. Doesn't that sound like Hubbard just believing his own BS? Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. And hey, tell Tim Dodd, I love his work. If he ever wants to come on my channel, I mean, obviously I would have him on my channel. And if he ever wants to do a chat with me about Scientology on his channel for any reason, would love to any day. Thank you so much. Captain Zombie, smoke a good cigar for me. Well, Captain Zombie, I absolutely will. And I tell you what, if I didn't think that YouTube, if I was sure that smoking a cigar wasn't a violation of YouTube's guidelines, I would probably smoke one in here. The space is big enough. I don't think it would set off any detectors. That would actually be a lot of fun. I mean, there are other podcasts who like smoke and whatnot, but I don't know. It's not worth rolling the dice right now. Thanks, Captain Zombie. I appreciate it. Okay. Oh, Dan Django. I like that name. Dan Django Unchained would be even better. Hey, Aaron, why not group up with all the victims of the defamatory websites and sue the living chit out of the church? It would be a monumental hailstorm that would sink Scientology. Well, thank you for the super chat, Django. I'll actually explain to you why nobody would do that. So there's a few reasons. One of which is, in order to win a case regarding defamation or libel or slander or whatever, you have to actually show damages. It's not, there's something about the way this works here in the United States. It's not just like a lawsuit like the kind that you're talking about would be much easier in the UK. The laws there and the standard of evidence and what you have to show are different. Here, you actually have to prove that it's hurt you. And the fact is, those websites, and I'm only speaking for myself, and I'll speak for Mike, and I'll speak for Mark, those websites haven't hurt any of us. They just make Scientology look ridiculous. And that brings me to the second reason. I think it's more valuable to have those sites there so that we can constantly point them out as an example of what Scientology policy dictates Scientology must do to its enemies. It's much more valuable to have that there as an example of that than it is to take it down. Like, taking it down would actually give me no value. It's not like I would get more business if that website wasn't there. Do you know, like, it doesn't hurt me that it's up. It wouldn't help me to bring it down. And And even I have been told that with the right lawyer and with enough persistence, I could at least get the URL or the domain back. They're using Smith-Levin.com, but they are just going to put it up under some other domain. So unless I have a plan to put up a website under Smith-Levin.com, it's just not worth the effort. Also, Mike Rinder has explained, you don't want to be the one initiating a lawsuit against Scientology. Almost never. Because if you're initiating the lawsuit against them, you're the aggressor, and it puts them in, this is not the official words, it puts them in the victim position, and the court looks more favorably upon the victim position, at least the way I'm talking about it. So for example, right now, there's a human trafficking case, a labor trafficking case against David Miscavige and Scientology. They are going to try to depose David Miscavige because Miscavige is the defendant in the case. He can sit there and go, oh, they're just trying to harass me by trying to depose me. This is harassment. If Miscavige and Scientology are the ones initiating the lawsuit, they can't claim that they're the ones being harassed with discovery. They're the ones being harassed deposition wise. So if you initiate a lawsuit against Scientology, you open yourself wide open to discovery of all sorts, deposition of all sorts. All your friends are going to be deposed. It's a headache. And you go over what? A headache over some websites that nobody believes. You know what I mean? So thank you for the super chat. And that is the answer. All right, let's see who's up next. The Scrapbooker. Just watched your interview with Lex and thought you did a great job. Thank you very much. Hope you have a great time next week on your cruise. Take next week's to recharge and come back to SPTV refreshed. Well, thank you so much. I'll tell you what, one good thing that came away from working full-time for Scientology from the age of 12 to the age of 26, where most work was on my feet, not being able, restricted to certain areas, restricted what you can do. What I do now, and not just on YouTube, but in business as well, hardly qualifies as work. In my mind, that was raised, conditioned in this high control group. This is why it's like, I see YouTubers talking about burnout, and I understand what they're talking about, and I understand, but and everyone's experience is only relative to what their experience has been. I could never possibly burn out on doing YouTube videos after working 100 hours a week for a human trafficking cult during all of my formative and young adult years. It's just not possible. It's more likely I'm going to have to recharge from my vacation when I get back. Vacations can be exhausting. Thank God we don't have to go on any airplanes. That's the Headleys. I feel bad for the Headleys. The Headleys have to fly in. Some of the other families have to fly in. They have to fly. I can't stand traveling with all the kids and all the suitcases. It's an absolute nightmare. In fact, Headley tells a really funny story. The way he manages to stay calm during the family traveling experience is everyone else sits in coach, but he books first class for himself. So anyway, Headley told me that a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that sounds like a plan. Daddy always flies first class, everyone else in the back. So thank you very much. By the way, the Lex interview, that Lex interview is tomorrow or the next day is going to crack 1 million views, which is not unheard of for a Lex interview. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I haven't done any long form interviews that have cracked those numbers, and that's pretty spectacular. And Lex also has another channel for his clips, Lex Clips. He published about 15 clips. The clip that he published specifically talking about Xenu and OT3 is over 200,000 views just for the Xenu clip. So I'll tell you, Lex Fridman is now a 100% certified fresh suppressive person. And I'll tell you what, even still, Scientology really should send a representative, have any representative, could be Tom Cruise himself, reach out to Lex Fridman to appear on his podcast. If they want to save any face whatsoever in the world of popular culture, Scientology should send a representative to appear on Lex Fridman's podcast. And I promise you, if an actual representative reached out to him, he would accept that offer. All right. Thank you, Scrapbooker. I appreciate it. Okay, I see. Oh, we're going deep in the weeds here. Michelle Olson, policy letter, structure of organization. What is policy? If LRH policy is law, is it Miscavige or Scientologists that refuse to change policy? It is only Miscavige. It is Miscavige and only Miscavige who would ever have any power to cancel or revise or modify or alter L. Ron Hubbard policy. Now, look, 9 out of 10 Scientologists would probably tell you even Miscavige doesn't have that authority. But I am telling you, the policy letter that you mentioned, Michelle, and I'm wondering if you're saying this because you heard me mention in another video, the policy letter written by L. Ron Hubbard called Structure of Organization, What is Policy, does give anyone who is in charge of Scientology all the justification they need to cancel LRH policy. They would have to make an argument for why that policy was written at a specific time to handle a specific problem and is no longer the best solution for the problem. But as long as that argument was made, he could also make the argument that doing such is in accordance with LRH policy, because the fact is, it is. I'm not just making this up. It's a very important policy letter, and Miscavige even said this is an important policy letter for this reason. So yeah, no one short of Miscavige, and I didn't say shorter than Miscavige because it's not possible for somebody to be shorter than Miscavige, but nobody short of Miscavige could even propose doing such a thing, but Miscavige could pull it off. Thank you, Michelle. Very, very good comment. By the way, for any of you who have not seen my life-size David Miscavige vintage plush doll, let me share this with you. This is Captain Keebler, Captain Miscavige himself, Scientology's little dictator. I mean, this is old school. You can't find these anymore, but this is actually to scale. This is life-size. This is Miscavige before he started wearing the Navy uniform. Adorable, isn't it? Oh, boy, Miscavige and all the Office of Special Affairs staff. Must really get a kick out of these streams. All right, let's see. Oh my goodness, look at this. Kim White. I picked up the History of Man and Dianetics off of eBay for less than $10. Well, good for you. Good thing it wasn't more, because those are hard to get through. Dianetics is very hard to get through, but the History of Man. Oh, I'll tell you, for those of you who don't know, the History of Man is I hope I don't have this wrong. I'm almost positive the History of Man is the book where L. Ron Hubbard says that the human body has evolved from like Scientologists do believe in evolution. They just believe in evolution like Hubbard's style. And he's talked about this thing called the genetic entity, the GE, that I don't think any Scientologist has ever actually understood what the hell LRH was talking about in this book. I have asked Scientologists, highly trained Scientologists who claim that these books make sense, to explain the GE to me. And once I poke holes in what they're saying, they have to admit it doesn't actually make any sense. So the GE is like a low-level thetan that kind of has sort of guided the evolution of various organisms through the eons that resulted in the human body. This is why sometimes you'll hear people call Scientologists clams. By the way, Scientologists would never get the reference. It's like, it's not a thing in Scientology, but people outside of Scientology have adopted this term clams to call Scientologists clams. It's because in the History of Man, he talks about the fact that the human jaw evolved from the bivalve hinge of the clams. And the History of Man is a crazy book. I might have to figure out how to take like each chapter of the History of Man and turn it into a little YouTube video. That would at least be fun. It would probably be the best use anyone has put that book to in the last 50 years. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for the super chat. Always appreciated. That's hilarious. I'm dying to know what you thought about History of Man if you've actually finished it. Okay, let's see. 86 GOP. Nothing to really ask. Just want to thank you for your exhaustive SP inclinations. DM should give you the SP of the Year award, and you could tower You could tower over him while receiving the award at the shrine. Thank you very much. Thank you, 86 GOP. I really appreciate that. Okay, we got another one. The scrapbooker. Is the hole still a thing at the Ant base now that they canceled the RPF? So the short answer is no. The longer answer is that Mike Rinder has always explained that the hole was really about people being assigned a certain status. The hole wasn't so much a location. Don't get me wrong. The hole was a location. But there have been many iterations of the hole over the years. The hole as we know it, as it has become known in popular culture, just happens to be the version that existed at that time, at that place, where so many executives were being held and a bunch of people have since escaped and told their stories. But for example, on the Apollo ship, the flagship Apollo, one of the first one of the first big ships of the Sea Organization, that was LRH's home for many years. You will hear stories of people being sent to the chain locker when the ship was docked and the anchor was down, and there was a lot of room in the chain locker, but the chain locker is a gross, disgusting, uncomfortable, unpleasant place to be. People would be sent to the chain locker as a punishment. We've heard a story of a kid as young as 4 years old being sent to the chain locker as a punishment. I've heard of people being confined to the chain locker for 36 hours straight. This is an example of a mentality and a type of abusive behavior, abusive punishment that precedent was being set as early as the late 60s. And so when you have something, it's sort of like the version that we ended up seeing at the international base in mid-aughts, that just happened to be the latest and perhaps most egregious version of the thing. So is the hole still a thing? For sure, people aren't still being locked up in those buildings. So that's where the answer is no. Is there anything going on in Scientology land at any base that is some approximation of the hole? Almost certainly. I mean, I mentioned before that what has largely taken the place of the RPF is the DPF, the DEX Project Force. Okay, well, I'm sure the people who are on the DEX Project Force, if they're still misbehaving, there's some other extra punishment that those guys are going to be given. And someone will get clever in a mean, sadistic way and figure out some punishment for the people who aren't responding correctly to their first punishment. And that's how things like the hole end up being created. These things in Scientology, these pendulum swings back and forth and back and forth. Things get horrible and someone's like, oh, we should be a little less horrible. And then things get better for a little while. And then people, forget that there was ever a reason to be a little nicer to people and things get horrible again. So the short answer is no, but the longer answer is everything I just gave you there. Thank you, Scrapbooker. Much appreciated. Andy Law again. Hi, AA Ron. Your channel is great. Thank you for doing what you do. Also, thanks for saying that you're a fan of Tim Dodd. Everyday Astronaut. I'm one of the writers on his site. Indeed. It's funny. I've actually never been to his site. I don't visit websites anymore, really. I'm a YouTube guy through and through. If it's not on YouTube, I'm not watching it. I can hardly be bothered to watch Netflix these days, but I watched the Chris Rock comedy special. Absolutely hilarious. I also watched some Apple TV. I can't be bothered to watch Amazon Prime Video anymore these days, but it's weird, right? Because it's all just on my phone. So what's the problem? But yeah, I'm just not a fan of websites anymore. I'm not a fan of reading. I'm all audiobooks. I will not sit down and read a book. I won't, because I have to multitask. I have to be multitasking at all times. I can't even make myself coffee in the morning if I haven't lined up the YouTube video I'm going to listen to while I'm making my coffee. It's a sickness, guys. It's a sickness. I understand, but there are worse sicknesses. And well, that's what everyone with a sickness tells themselves, right? It could be worse. It could be worse. At least my sickness provides me some education and some infotainment. So anyway, Andy, I guess what I'm saying is I watch Tim's videos, but I don't read his website. But I wonder if, as a writer for his site, you also help write his videos. That would be interesting to know. Thank you for the other super chat, Andy. And please say hi to Tim for me. Tell him what a fan I am. Okay, I do see another one here. Cat, AC/DC fan. Cat, always good to see in the chat. I agree with Katie Lohmann being infatuated with Tom Cruise. Don't believe any trouble she might be in would ever sway her away from Scientology. Enjoy the cruise. Kat, you're not going to believe this, but I have some inside skinny that Katie is in touch with some actual former Scientologists, declared suppressive persons. And I have it on the inside track that you might just be seeing Katie even do an interview with one of these big bad SPs. You might see Katie on SPTV. Wouldn't that be interesting? So we'll wait and see. I agree with you for now that I don't believe any trouble that she might be in would ever sway her away from Scientology, but never say never. I mean, there was a time when I would have said Mike Rinder would have never left Scientology, and look where we are now. So never say never. Thank you very much, Kat. Always good to see you in here. Zach, here we go. If Scientology ceased to exist tomorrow and all victims got the help they needed, what do you think you would want to do with your life next? Well, this isn't all I do with my life now. I mean, even this isn't all I do. I would love, like, okay, but if we got to a point where, I guess what you're saying is, if you couldn't do any more videos about Scientology, what would you do videos about? And that's something I just don't know what I would do videos about. I feel like I would figure it out. I mean, that's kind of what I always do in life. I just sort of figure it out. Because I do like doing videos in general. And even aside from the Scientology stuff, I would want to find. I just don't have the answer, though. I don't have the answer. I mean, remember the default. There's always a default that works perfectly well, and that's do nothing. I told you, I'm an expert. I've become an expert. I went from one end of the pendulum, working for Scientology, working all the time, didn't know how to do nothing. Now I'm an expert at doing nothing. So anyway, thank you, Zach. That's a good question. I appreciate it. All right, let's see who's on deck here. Eric Robertson, thank you for the super chat. So if I get my employees to sign a document that they promise not to sue me, I can do whatever I want, not pay them, and violate their civil liberties. Good question, Eric. So not so much. By the way, the key word that you said there was employees. Scientology staff members are considered volunteers, and not just volunteers, religious volunteers. And that is a key word, at least here in the United States, that affords Scientology an extra special layer of protection. And so civil liberties. No, the truth is Scientology can open itself up to lawsuits by violating people's civil liberties. The main thing they're able to do is skirt the minimum wage laws. That's a given. They're able to skirt the minimum wage laws because of the religious volunteer thing. It is not true that they are just allowed to do whatever they want to people, particularly children and particularly the elderly. You know, in the trafficking lawsuit currently going on against Miscavige and a handful of church entities, their lawyers, Scientology's lawyers, have made the argument that in certain religious orders, you basically consent to being mistreated. And that works only so far. I mean, guys, just keep in mind, Scientology's never won a jury lawsuit in its entire existence. Neither criminal nor civil. Scientology has never won a jury trial ever. So when sometimes when it seems like Scientology's won a lawsuit, they've either gotten it thrown out on a technicality or they've settled. They've never actually won. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate the super chat. Okay, who's next here? Miss Kim. I like that you do lives. We get more content because you don't have to edit. Exactly. I'm always checking in throughout the day for a new post. It is fun. Well, I'm glad you have fun because I have fun as well. I really, really do enjoy the lives. It also has allowed me to, I won't say perfect because that's the wrong word, really improve on, I want to say my speaking skills. When I first started talking to this camera, even recording my own videos, my mind just goes blank every time I look at that camera. But doing the lives, I sort of get used to, instead of, I don't even look at the camera, honestly. I'm looking like right about here. I'm sort of looking as, I'm pretending as if, you know, I'm actually talking to a person in the middle of a conversation, but I'm, you know, I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm not fixated on a thing. And I was just thinking yesterday, like, would I still be nervous? Because I've done some public speaking in my life. And even though I've always done kind of good at it, it's intensely anxiety inducing. So even when I was in the C organization, I had an executive post every single week at staff meeting. I had to stand up in front of 200 people and represent my entire division for the week and do a little statistical analysis and give a little battle plan for the week. I would spend the entire hour of the staff meeting just stressing, like, I mean, really stressing, like shaking a little bit, being nervous about what I was going to say, and getting up there and saying it. Every single week, it felt like a performance, and it didn't get easier. I mean, I was there for 4 years. That's every week for 4 years, and it didn't get any easier. And yet now I've gotten to a point where I got 3,000 people watching live, and I can, you know, just kind of speak off the cuff like it's no big deal. So I was thinking to myself yesterday, if I actually had to get up and speak in front of a few thousand people live, would it actually even bother me anymore? And I'm not sure that it would. So I have all of you to thank for helping me get over what has been sort of a little bit of a phobia of mine most of my life. So I do have fun with it as well. And so thank you, Ms. Kim. I appreciate that. Sarah S. Aaron, I diagnosed you as a fellow ADHDer a while ago. Your MO is very familiar. How did you manage to focus on all those boring Scientology books? Oh my God, Sarah, I'm dying to know what you observed that you diagnosed me as, or that you used to come up with that diagnosis. Let me see. How did you manage to focus? I was actually very, very, very good at reading books quickly and understanding them. So also you have to realize that right now, if I'm reading a book, if I try to read a book, I'm thinking of all the other things I either could or should be doing. In Scientology, when I was reading a book, that was literally the only thing I was even allowed to be doing at that time. Like if you're on course, you can't just sit there and daydream. You start daydreaming, you got a supervisor coming over in 5 seconds saying, what word didn't you fully understand? And they won't go away until you give them a word that you didn't understand. And then you got to look it up in the dictionary. I became very, very good at studying in Scientology. And I had no problem at all focusing on those boring books. Even now, if I'm doing a course, like I'm about to do this 45-hour recertification, continuing education course for the real estate, for my real estate license. I could do that 45-hour course in 45 hours or less and have no problem with it, and pass with a high score. Studying's not a problem with me. So anyway, do you associate, is ADHD normally associated with not being able to pay attention? I am good at paying attention to things. I just don't want to pay attention to something I don't have to. If that makes sense. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. I see Jackie with a super sticker. Thank you, Jackie, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Ken Grover, your favorite Mainer here, just to let you know how much we all appreciate you and the whole SP gang. Well, thank you so much. I got to tell you, even me, you would think, like people ask me, do you ever get sick of talking about Scientology? And I say that I don't, but you would think that with all the talking that I do about Scientology, I might get sick or have no need to hear other people talk about Scientology. And yet I'll tell you what, I am listening to the entire 2 hours of Mark and Claire's stream. They did a 2-hour one. Was it? Yeah, yesterday was Tuesday. They did 2 hours. And you would think, like, really, Aaron, at the end of the day, after doing videos all day, you're going to go home and listen to 2 hours of Mark and Claire's videos? Yes. Because it's just fun. It's so much fun to listen to them and tell their stories and to see the people in the chat and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. We all have fun. And so, yeah, I only not have fun doing the videos. I have fun watching them as well. I am also a fan. Thanks, Ken Grover. Lily Rose. Hi, Aaron. SPTV rocks. Yes, I'll tell you what. It just occurred to me, you can make like lists of different channels and stuff. Right now, if you go to my YouTube channel, I do have a channel of like, there's some tab of recommended channels. I'll have to explore whether you can make more than one tab of recommended channels, because what we should really have is some sort of a, what would you call it? A coalition, a collection of all channels that want to call themselves SPTV network channels, and realize it's not a real network. Okay, so there's something on YouTube that is probably, I got a bunch of emails about this. There's something called the Young Turks. The Young Turks is a left-leaning political YouTube channel, but apparently it's also a network. Apparently there's a bunch of YouTube channels that are considered part of the Young Turks network. And the best explanation I've received so far is that all of the videos of channels that are on this network redirect to other videos of the other channels. That explanation only makes a little bit of sense to me. It doesn't make a ton of sense. And I'm not sure if there's any other way of being a real network. I say all that only to make the point that the SPTV is not that. It really is just channels who want to troll the shit out of Miscavige and Scientology by saying they are SPTV. It sure would be great if you were doing Scientology content. No, I think Mark said it does have to be a channel that's doing Scientology content, at least. Thank you, Lily Rose. Thank you, Lily Rose. I really appreciate it. Dove's mom grew up in San Francisco. 1970s dad brought home a Scientology guy for dinner. Mom said that guy is never allowed here again. I love it. I love it. I love it. By the way, I did upload a short video, a YouTube short, to my channel today of Bobby Lee on the Bad Friends podcast with guest host Chris DiStefano pretending to be Andrew Santino. Well, he was dressed as Andrew Santino, but he wasn't pretending to be him. And they go off on a whole Scientology joke. And Chris DiStefano says, Chris DiStefano goes, Andrew Santino is a known Scientologist, and I've got the text messages to prove it. And Bobby Lee goes, yeah, that's true. He had an old briefcase, and one of the latches was broken, and it fell, and out popped the Dianetics book and a tiny little orb, and I touched the orb, and Xenu popped out. And I was scared. And then David Miscavige came up, and he grabbed all that shit, and he jumped into a limousine, and he ran away. Anyway, I'm only mentioning this because I absolutely love when my favorite YouTube channels or my favorite comedians or my favorite actors or whatever drop some Scientology reference, and I uploaded that. So just wanted you guys to know, check out my YouTube short, and I'm gonna keep doing shorts of every time I see Scientology referenced in some podcast or TV or movie. So that's one thing all you guys out there can help me with. If you see a Scientology joke or a Scientology reference made, send it to me, growingupinscientology@gmail.com, and I'll turn it into a YouTube short. Okay, the Pickles and Bacon Show. I love that name. What do you think would happen if someone came back claiming they were LRH and could prove it? Well, I mean, that's a very loaded, that's three very loaded words you ended your sentence with there. Because if he could prove it, then that would mean it really was LRH. And if Scientology can prove that you can go up Scientology's bridge and retain all your memories of your past lives and willfully reincarnate with all your memories, then I'm going to go back to Scientology, even if I have to throw Mike and Mark under the bus to do it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a very loaded question, obviously. Now, Scientologists, it's not uncommon for some Scientologists to claim to have been LRH in a past life. Those people aren't taken seriously. Miscavige is never going to seriously entertain anybody claiming to be L. Ron Hubbard. And other than the fact that Miscavige has his own personal selfish reasons for never entertaining such a claim, let's be real. There are some really good reasons to never entertain such a claim, because it's all bullshit. You can't do it. It can't be done. They say, if you find a man in search of God, follow him. If you find a man who claims to have found it, run away. And yeah, it's just, you can sell a lot of stuff. You can raise a lot of money. You can control a lot of people claiming that you've got all the answers to life and the afterlife. But let's be real, guys. Nobody does. Sorry, not meaning to step on any toes, But, you know, people have been trying to prove that they can reincarnate for a long, long time. And I just feel like if that was something that somebody was going to be able to prove, it would be proved by now. Scientologists are going to say, we have proved it. We've proved it in auditing sessions every single day. And you just go, okay, where's Ron? All right. Thank you, Pickles and Bacon. Dave Owens. So what I hear you saying is you're slacking. Yes, 100% slacking. And I'm loving every minute of it. Loving every minute of it. Now we're going to go slack on a ship. I go, why do I got to go slack on a ship? I slack in Clearwater every single day. But yeah, the vacations really are for the kids. It's true. The vacations are for the kids. All right, let's see. Jay Dice. Always good to see you, Jay Dice. Here we go. I'll email if I map a safe plan to bait a Scientology suit. Okay. I'm not totally sure I know what that means, but if you map a safe plan, go ahead and email me. You know how to reach me. Thank you, Jay Dice. Okay, so Pembroke Love, can we please get captions on these videos once they have been posted? Deaf fan can't keep up, and they post with no captions. So here's the thing. I go back every time I do a live, and I select the things that I believe are the things I need to select for captions to show up. I don't quite understand. When I watch YouTube, every video I'm watching, there's an option to push a button for closed captions. I don't know or necessarily believe that that option is not available on my videos. I'll have to double check it, I guess. I'll have to double check it. Every video on YouTube that I watch has a little button right at the bottom that says CC. You press the button, you get closed captions. There is, like I said, there's an option on the back end of the studio where I select English, United States, English, United States. There should be captions on my videos, is what I'm saying. And if there's not, I need to figure out what I'm not doing, because I think I'm doing the things that I should be doing. Thank you, Pembroke Love. And I will double check that tonight. I will double check it tonight and see what's going on. Thank you again. Okay, let's see. What do we have here? Odalis Martija. Odalis Martija. Worked for Scientologist. Worked for Scientologist. Say I'm still trolled on social media, constantly blocking them. Been sabotaged 100 times and don't know what to do. It continues. If you've never been a Scientologist yourself, but you just worked for a Scientologist, you shouldn't really be being trolled on social media by them. But hey, I'll tell you what, if you send some screenshots of what you're talking about, if you email me some screenshots to growingupinscientology@gmail.com, I'll let you know what I think and see if I have any suggestions for you and what you might be able to do about it. Thank you, Odalis. Let's see. Shannon, do you know anything about the LRH Writers of the Future Scholarship? Is that a Scientology managed contest? Yes. Or is it handled separately from them? No. I entered decades ago before I learned about Scientology. Yeah, so this is just something Scientology does to generate good press for L. Ron Hubbard. They have the Writers of the Future. They have the Illustrators of the Future. The contests are funded and organized and put on by Author Services International, ASI. ASI is staffed by Sea Org members. ASI is an international level org. ASI is on par with RTC as far as standing in the hierarchy of the Church of Scientology. They are considered LRH's personal literary agency. Originally, ASI was there to raise money for CST. CST is the Church of Spiritual Technology. That is the organization tasked with building these underground nuclear-proof vaults to store L. Ron Hubbard's works in, so that when civilization blows itself up through nuclear war, the cavemen that are living in the post-apocalyptic world can rediscover the priceless works of L. Ron Hubbard. So ASI was originally there actually to funnel money to L. Ron Hubbard when he was off in seclusion. It then also served the purpose of raising money for the CST preservation of the tech project. Now, I honestly don't know what the hell ASI does other than try to sell L. Ron Hubbard's fiction works and try to get good press for L. Ron Hubbard, partially through these LRH Writer of the Future scholarships and Illustrator of the Future scholarships. So it's completely run by Scientology. It's all just something to get press for Scientology. And yet there are some writers and illustrators whose careers have been helped by winning those contests. So, you know, sometimes you can benefit from doing a deal with the devil. What can I say? Okay, Catherine S. Thank you, Shannon. Catherine S. To your knowledge, does dead filing actually work to stop phone calls and emails? I intentionally tried to get declared or dead filed to stop them contacting me. Well, to my knowledge, yes, it does, because the dead file, by definition, is the file of people who you're not supposed to contact anymore. And it's actually different than being declared a suppressive person. Anybody is supposed to be able to be dead filed by calling a Church of Scientology and saying some mean stuff or sending in a letter with an antagonistic or hostile response. The best way to get dead filed at this point, guys, if you're on Scientology's mailing list and you receive mail that has business return envelopes, contact the Aftermath Foundation at, use this email address, don't email me, email volunteer@theaftermathfoundation.org. Request some free Aftermath Foundation business cards. They'll be sent to you for free. And whenever you get those business return envelopes, stuff those pigs full of Aftermath Foundation business cards, drop them in a mailbox and send them back into the org. Do that enough times, they will stop sending you mail. And as long as they keep sending you mail, they will be helping you inform their own staff members about the Aftermath Foundation. So it really is win-win. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Dave Owens. Let's see. I am Change Tech. Change Tech? You can change COBs. Oh, I see. You're saying if there is some mechanism in place to alter L. Ron Hubbard's writings, then there would also be a mechanism in place to replace the chairman of the board. Bad precedent. I see what you're saying, but it's not the same. I know you're not saying it's the same. You're just saying it's a bad precedent. I would just say, I think the safety element there for Miscavige is that he really would be the only one who would even be allowed to cancel an LRH policy. He would also, of course, he would have to claim that it's what LRH wanted him to do. But because he would be the only one allowed to cancel the LRH policy, theoretically speaking, if we're talking about precedents, he would also be the only one to be allowed to determine when COB needed to go. Actually, at the moment I said that, I realized that's not true. I actually see your point. I actually see your point. Good point, Dave. Because the truth is, the policy doesn't say that Miscavige would be the only one to be able to cancel policy. It's Miscavige who would be the one claiming he could be the only one. So if Miscavige is granting that this policy does allow for the cancellation of policy, then some smart Scientologist might go, well, that means the policy also allows for some other stuff now, doesn't it? So there you go. Good point, Dave. Okay, let's see. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Why are there no false imprisonment cases against Scientology? Well, there are, love it. It's one of the things Valerie Haney is suing David Miscavige and Scientology for, false imprisonment. So the fact is, it takes a lot of guts to actually sue Scientology, and it better be something you're prepared to subject yourself to for up to 10 years. The harassment, the discovery, the subpoenas, the depositions, it better be for a damn good reason, and because you better be ready for it. So yeah, that's the short answer. There are false imprisonment cases. Thank you, love it. All right, let's see. Catherine S. Thoughts on the shoop you starred in yesterday? So I must have missed that one. Okay, for a lot of Mark and Claire's videos, I was just listening to it. This is me listening to YouTube. I wasn't actually watching it because, like I said, you guys, I have to multitask. So I was listening to what they were doing as I was doing a bunch of chores. So I didn't see the shoop. Catherine, if you, and it's a 2-hour stream, so I can't just casually stroll through it. But if you know where to find it, or you have a screenshot of it, you can send it to me. So I guess I can't give my thoughts on it. Was it a good one? Was it another one with David Miscavige as a baby? I mean, all photos of David Miscavige are kind of him as a baby, but you know what I mean. All right, Ava Joy Porter, thank you for the super sticker, Ava Joy. I appreciate it. David Ian Ross. David Ian Ross. You don't go up bridges, you go across them. Wouldn't it make more sense to say go across the bridge to total freedom? Excellent question. This comes up a lot, actually. And Elrich even addressed this issue. He said the reason it's up the bridge is because the bridge goes from, my camera's like backwards, a lower state of being and awareness. Oh, wait. Here, I got it. A lower state of being and awareness to a higher state of being and awareness. And therefore, the bridge goes up. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't he call it a ladder? And you got a good point there. And you guys, if any of you have seen the TV show called The Path, which is an incredible show, and I have more than one video on my channel doing a review of that show. In The Path, which is clearly a ripoff of Scientology, they have a cult that's a ripoff of Scientology. They do have the ladder. And they have the ladder, and you go up the levels, and some of the levels are confidential, and some of the levels are unreleased, and the leader died without finishing the levels, and the guy who's left has to come up with the levels and figure out, explain to everybody why he was able to do the levels. It's amazing. I was going to say it's hilarious, but it's not a comedy. But it is hilarious when you watch it from a Scientology perspective. You're like, oh my God, who were the writers? Who were the consultants on this show? On the Scientology stuff. Well, because they never mentioned Scientology. Actually, in the beginning of the show, they do make fun. Oh, no, they still don't mention Scientology. But in the beginning of the show, like episode 1, season 1, this group is going out to disaster sites in yellow shirts, handing out water and stuff, just like Scientology's volunteer ministers. So that, like, right from the beginning, it's pretty obvious that The Path is a ripoff, is a play on Scientology, and it's a fantastic show. Oh, I like this next one. Favorite YouTubers? Oh, I love this one. I have different YouTubers that I watch for different reasons. I'll answer this by saying, which YouTubers have I sort of, do I watch because there's parts of how they do what they do that I have adopted. Okay. Philip DeFranco is one. And this is an interesting one because I don't actually like his content anymore, but I still watch him every day. And there's just lessons that I take from what he does on his channel. Derek from a channel called More Plates, More Dates. It's a nutrition and fitness oriented channel. Love his stuff. And there's things that he does with his channel that I have sort of taken is the wrong word. It's almost like I go, oh yeah, that reinforces for me that this is that this will work. That reinforces for me that this will work. Okay, there's a channel called Mentor Pilot. Mentor Pilot is a guy. He's got to be Scandinavian, right? I don't think he's French. He's European, and he has a channel where he does. He's a pilot. He's a professional commercial pilot, and he reviews accident reports from famous accidents. Dr. Todd Grande is one that I enjoy watching more for his style than his content. Ooh, there was another one. Damn it. There's one or two that I mean, of course, the interview style and interview content of Lex Fridman and Joe Rogan. I mean, I think the one thing Joe Rogan's proven to everybody is that the world will listen to a 2 or 3 hour conversation if they like you and the conversations that you're having. And yet, even on my channel, I do try to keep my uploaded videos to 20 minutes or less, but it's why I don't shy away from going long on like live streams and stuff. Because the industry is just more moving. It's not even the industry, it's society. Society seems interested in listening to long conversations, and also it's the best way to understand somebody and to give them an opportunity to represent their true thoughts on the subject. So I feel like there's others that I could mention. I'm not going to mention any political channels because that'll just light up a firestorm. But there's guys on the left I like listening to, and guys on the right that I like listening to, mostly because I like. I won't mention the channels, but whichever one it happens to be, I like hearing hearing and observing the difference between people who are making arguments because they just don't know what other argument to make, or they're making arguments because they have genuinely researched the issue and they truly believe it and they're willing to discuss it. They don't shy away from pushback. Any political channel and any political personality who just calls the other side names instead of actually engages in conversation and debate, I just totally dismiss. And I like listening to perspectives, particularly ones that are different than the ones that I already hold, because it sort of challenges me. Like, why do I believe what I believe? Because also when you grow up in a cult, you're like, oh my God, how do I know for sure what beliefs I have because I came to those on my own, or that it's from any experience whatsoever, or am I lying to myself that I've been rationalized into believing this, but really it's just because I've been being told it my whole life? Like, how do you know what you know if you're not willing to be, tested on it and stuff like that? Anyway, I know that wasn't your question, but I do listen to a lot of political stuff, and it tends to be the stuff on both sides that I disagree with the most, because it's just, I don't know, it's most fun to listen to. I'm really not the kind of guy who just likes listening to videos that tell me what I already believe. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, Marjan. Oh, there's an actual test. Marjan Kekavusi. Oh, wait, I'm going to guess. Kekavusi. Marjan Kekavusi. You can take a test for ADHD. I have ADHD also. I'll tell you, the only reason I'm not going to take a test is because I'm not going to take medication. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, I operate very well in life. So I might have some peculiar things about me or my tendencies or whatever, but nothing that I think is wrong with me is something that I actually care about getting fixed. Do you see what I mean? So I thank you for letting me know that there is a test, but I would never take the test because I'm okay with the way that it is. I guess that's all I'm saying. Thanks, Marjan. Panko. Let's see. Panko, thank you so much. Watch out for the ghost of LRH floating on the high seas. Oh, yes. Very true. Bon voyage. Yeah, the ghost of LRH. That could be a funny YouTube channel of people doing skits about what the ghost of LRH is up to. Thank you, Panko. Let's see. Little bit of water here. Do you have any idea what the pain station is in the superpower building? Are Scientologists torturing each other to go up the bridge? I've never heard of the pain station. Now, superpower, one of the ways it's marketed to the superpower auditing rundowns, one of the ways it's marketed to Scientologists is that you have so many perceptics. Let me Google how many perceptics L. Ron Hubbard says you have. How many perceptics does Scientology say there are? I would have thought that the answer would have been immediately forthcoming. Okay, from memory, this number is going to be wrong. Let's just say there's 56 perceptics. Okay. One of those, but I don't even remember if one of those is pain, because the pain perceptic might just be a harmonic of touch. Like, I honestly don't remember of all the perceptics if pain is one of them. Now, one of the ways Scientology markets the superpower auditing rundowns to Scientologists is they say you have 56 perceptics, and on the superpower perception rundown, you practice using all 56 of these perceptics. Now, one of these perceptics is something as stupid as the saline content of your cells. One of these perceptics is as stupid as oiliness. Oiliness is something L. Ron Hubbard listed as a perceptic. So I'm saying this because, hypothetically speaking, if one of those perceptics is in fact pain, then there is probably some little desk that's like, this is where you practice the pain perceptic. I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, I don't. But you know what? Ian Rafalco has done the superpower auditing rundowns in Scientology. And Ian's part of SPTV. So Tom, and Ian does live streams. So Tom, you have to ask Ian. He's an expert. I haven't done the superpower rundowns. And I was never even in the damn building after they built it. I've never seen what, I've never physically been on the floor where they have all those superpower machines and whatnot. But Ian has. Now, I also know that you don't do, I don't think you do all of the perceptics. They assess a list on the e-meter, and I believe you only do the ones that read on the meter. But I also could be wrong about that. I should ask Ian. Or Tom, you can ask Ian, but maybe I'll ask him as well. Thank you, Tom. Sorry I couldn't give you a better answer. LJ Drew, thank you for the super sticker. Mucho, mucho appreciated. I cannot quite, I'm going to keep scrolling. I don't know how many super chats I have left. The only reason Mark can tell how many super chats he has left is because Claire is in the chat and she stars them all. So he can look in his little thing to see how many comments are starred. That's how he knows how many are left. I don't have someone to do that. So I just have to scroll. Oh, shoot. Oh, you must have done that by accident. So here's your actual comment. Can we just agree to stop calling them the Church of Scientology and call them the Cult of Scientology? It's more accurate and has the bonus of ticking them off. Thank you so much for the super chat. There's a reason why I don't do that. The reason why I don't do that is that my videos are intended to resonate with people who are still in Scientology. And it just, you know, the Church of Scientology is its name. You're not making an endorsement by calling it the Church of Scientology. And if I were to just call it the Cult of Scientology, then any science, like all the time. I mean, I do say Scientology is a cult. I don't shy away from that. I say that in almost all my videos. But say the Cult of Scientology, any Scientologist is going to go like, ugh, just you're a hater. You're a loser. They're going to be like Grant Cardone. Haters everywhere. Nothing but haters. So yeah, I don't do that for that reason. I want, if I were in Scientology and I was watching a video, they were like, the Cult of Scientology, I'd be like, click, and I'd turn it off because I'd be like, ugh, I don't have any time for that. So thank you for that though. But again, I do say Scientology is a cult in probably almost every one of my videos. Oh, in real life, Danny Crook meant an in real life cigar meetup, but OSA is sus. Well, Danny, now I forget what your last comment was. What did I say? Oh, I was talking about smoking a cigar here. Yeah, but I think I would have assumed that you were talking about in real life. See, I can't remember what I said last time, Danny, damn it. Did you know they just opened a brand new cigar bar in downtown Clearwater? The problem is I haven't been to downtown Clearwater in 9 months because I don't have any freaking interest. I'd rather go, there's a cigar bar I'd rather go in Tampa. And I don't even go to the one on the beach really anymore. There's one up in Palm Harbor I used to go to all the time. So anyhow, Danny, I don't even remember if you were you the one that said you were in Tampa? Anyhow, we'll get it figured out one of these days. Okay, Maxwell Edison's mom again. If I win the lottery, I will back anyone that wants to sue Scientology for lawyers' fees, etc. Because why not? Well, Maxwell Edison's mom, let me tell you something. The attorneys who are working on these lawsuits, these guys are working on contingency. The problem is not funds. The problem is not lack of funds. And guys, there's several Scientology lawsuits going on right now, and these people are being represented. And there's more coming, by the way. There's more coming. These people are being represented by some of the country's best attorneys. So Scientology has a lot to be afraid of. I told you, my goal this year, 2023, is going to be the year. Well, I said the year David Miscavige and Scientology really regret the fact that I have a YouTube channel. But it also is going to be a really, really bad year for Scientology in the legal arena, both civil and otherwise. So stay tuned for that. Let me tell you. Okay, Bernice Dooley, have a wonderful time. Well, thank you, Bernice. We are dedicated to having a wonderful time, and hopefully we'll be able to have a wonderful time also with you guys here on YouTube, because I'm thinking that their Starlink internet system, they probably have like, well, who knows? They might have like 50 different Starlink dishes on this ship. It's so freaking big. Let me tell you, whatever place on the ship has the fastest internet, that's where I'm going to be. So I'll see you guys there. All right, let's see. F. Shopes. Always good to see you, F. Shopes. What is Scientology's relationship with Mormonism like? It seems like if Scientology was more smart with media, they could attempt parallels. Scientology has no relationship with Mormonism of any kind whatsoever. I mean, my whole time in Scientology, I don't know, I ever even met a Mormon. Not even the Scientologists from Salt Lake City had been Mormons. Like Mormonism, I mean, obviously I'm only answering really from my perspective. From my experience in Scientology, Mormonism just didn't even exist practically. It was a non-thing. I had no perception or understanding or awareness of how big Mormonism was, that they had their own city, that they have their own state, that they have their own senators. You know, David Miscavige only wishes that Scientology could be 100th as successful as Mormonism has been, organizationally speaking and financially speaking. Thank you, F. Shopes. Valerie Boljak, Broadcast School. They make you have a pics of someone that you're talking to. Is that right? Huh. That's funny. That must just be practicing, right? Wait. Broadcast School. Why would they train you that way if that's not how you're going to do it in reality? So you're in school. First of all, why aren't you just talking to a real person? Oh, but I'm thinking you're talking about it's how they train you to talk to the camera. They put a picture there of someone. And that's nice. I guess that would be a nice, in Scientology, they would call it a nice gradient. But I would argue that eventually you got to take that picture away, right? You have to get used to how to do your job just talking to the camera. So I'm a little confused that they would train you to do it another way. But I'm nitpicking. Who gives a damn? Who gives a good goddamn? I mean, okay, sorry. Didn't mean to say the full thing. I catch so much heat from people who don't like me taking the Lord's name in vain. Okay, in the YouTube comments, I mean. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate it. Okay, Rachel McCool Hilton. I have an ex-second-gen Scientologist living with me, left an abusive marriage, 20 plus years out, and she is still seriously emotionally damaged. Wow. Yeah. Yep. That damage doesn't just go away over time. That's for sure. But that's fascinating. It's a pretty small community. I have to guess that either I or a friend of mine would know who the person is. So if you want to message me privately, please feel free. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. Kitty and Lou, did you hear YouTube let up on cursing? I've heard all sorts of things. Here's the problem with YouTube and them saying what their rules are and what their rules aren't. If you do a video and you label it, yes, this fits the guidelines. It does not violate the guidelines. And YouTube determines that your video does violate the guidelines. They don't tell you why. They don't even tell you which part of your video violated the guidelines. I know this seems too crazy to believe. YouTube couldn't possibly be this dumb or this inept or basic in how they deal with the creators. You would think that YouTube would send you an email and say, we have detected a violation of the guidelines between this time and this time. You figure out what it was and delete it if you'd like. Nope. Not even that. Not even that. You could upload a 2-hour. In fact, one of my 2-hour live streams that I did, and you guys know, I do not violate the content creator guidelines. It got dinged. It got demonetized. It's a 2-hour freaking video. You would think they would at least give you a timestamp and give you an option to edit. Nope, no timestamp, nothing. So it's one thing for YouTube to say they let up on the guidelines, but they're not really able to back that up because they don't ever tell you why your video got demonetized in the first place. So there's my rant. But yeah, I mean, I've heard what you're referring to, Kitty and Lou. I've heard what you're referring to. And I'm sure in some respects that's accurate, but it doesn't do us any good because they don't tell us what and when you violated anyway. So who gives a good gosh darn? We all have to talk like we're third grade teachers just to be safe. Thank you so much. Ava Joy Porter. Thank you for the super sticker, Ava. Actually, that's not even your first super sticker of the night. That's like your second. Thank you, Ava. I appreciate that. LJ. Oh, I love this name because I like saying Vespertile. Vespertile. Even though I have no reason to believe it's actually Vespertile, it just feels right. So LJ Vespertile, speaking to a crowd is a TED Talk in your future. When I've seen some of the absolute morons who have done TED Talks on different things, don't rule it out. But I feel like you have to could I, would I, if I had something I thought was worth speaking on? 100%. That'd actually be a lot of fun. I don't know that there's anything that I would be, what's the right word, qualified to speak about, unless it's just Scientology. That would actually be a lot of fun. If I could take my Lex interview and just turn that into a TED Talk some way, somehow, that would actually be a lot of fun. That would be stressful, though. That would be stressful. But never say never. Thank you, LJ Vespertile. All right, Muriel Stonewall. Oh, a super sticker. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, here's one. Cliffs of Insanity. Aaron, have you seen the Over the Rainbow documentary? What did you think of it? Super curious. Hi from Tampa. Hello in Tampa. I've never even heard of the Over the Rainbow documentary. If you can send me a link to growingupinscientology@gmail.com, I will add it to a list that I have been creating of these long Scientology, longish Scientology content that exists on the internet. I do like to kind of, even if it's been somewhere else for 10 years, I'll still put it on my channel so that at least gets the most eyeballs as possible. Like, I mean, look, the Ted Koppel, David Miscavige interview has been online for 20 years. I put it on my channel. Things got like 600,000 views. Like, it's got some insane number of views. Am I a total liar? Let me pull up YouTube right now. Totally gratuitous YouTube searching here. Ted Koppel, David Miscavige, 732,000 views. Thank you, David Miscavige. Thank you, Ted Koppel. So I would absolutely love to take a look at the Over the Rainbow documentary, and maybe if I put it on my channel, I'll put like chapter breaks. Maybe I'll put some subtitles that explain some stuff. That would actually be a lot of fun. Thank you so much, and thank you for the super chat. I suspect we might be. Oh, you know how I can tell if we're getting close to is the timestamps. I'm 30 minutes behind the chat right now. Okay, OBG Foster. The National Labor Board is going after non-disparagement agreements. Would that affect ex-SEORG members? Thank you for the super chat. So the thing is, no former SEORG member has ever been sued for violating a non-disparagement agreement in the history of Scientology. So I don't think, so could this affect the SEORG members? Yes. Will it? No, because it's never affected any SEORG members to date anyway. So thank you for that. Jenny Engels, captions unavailable. You need to investigate. Oh, now look, if you're talking about captions unavailable for this stream, that's because we're still going. But if you're saying captions unavailable for my previous stuff, then yes, I do need to investigate, and I will. Thank you very much, Jeannie. Lena in Love. Can't wait to sign up for the Tom Blue Cruise. The Tom Cruise Blue Cruise. Tom Cruise Blues Clues. Something there. Thank you, Lena. All right, let's see. McDuff125. What do you know about the Battle Creek org? Such a small place to try for an ideal org. When Bobble Mike arrives, photo of Detroit org on its way. Battle Creek is one of these orgs that I think I'm going to get myself into trouble here by saying something wrong. Like there was Detroit and there was Ann Arbor. Is Ann Arbor near Battle Creek? Because there was an org in Ann Arbor. Okay. Is Ann Arbor near Battle Creek? No, they're an hour away from each other. Okay, I was going to say that I thought Battle Creek was one of these places where the org used to be near a major city, but Miscavige moved it too far away from the city, and now they call it Battle Creek. I must be getting it mixed up with something else. There's really nothing to know about the Battle Creek org. Basically, once upon a time, someone created an org there. You're not allowed to close a Scientology org. So no matter how small and failing an org may be, It will not close. Now, we've seen some of the celebrity centers closed by being combined with their local orgs. We've seen some Day and Foundation orgs combined into one org. Those have been the exceptions to the rule. And realize these orgs are essentially owned by Scientology. There's smaller versions of orgs called missions that are privately owned. They open and close all the time. David Miscavige doesn't give a damn about the missions. An org that is an actual org will never close. And so that is actually all there is to know about Battle Creek. It is a small and failing org. It is a dump. It is a horrible place. I mean, the org is a dump. It is a horrible place to have an ideal org, as is Buffalo, as is Albuquerque. Yeah. And yet there's no choice. Miscavige isn't allowed to close an org. He would be seen as a failure if he closed the org. And that's why it continues to be there. And that's why it's getting an ideal org building if it doesn't already have one. Thank you, McDuff. Lena. Oh, Lena's back. Tom Blue Cruise. I mean, that's what you said the first time. What did you say the first time? I'm going back. Tom. Oh, I get it. I get it. Yes, we know what you meant. We 100% knew what you meant. Jeannie Engels. Captions only on replay, but not live. You can't do captions live. Is that something that actually happens for other channels? No, I guess I have seen other channels where captions are live. Okay, so now we're talking. Now I get what you're talking about. Okay. I've actually never looked up how do I turn on live captions. I've only looked up how do I turn on actual captions for replays. Thank you, Jeannie. That helps me. That helps me hone in what I need to fix. I appreciate it. Okay. Super chat. Manuel Chiatello. Thank you, Manuel. I appreciate that. Okay. What do we have? Love it. Hi, A Ron. Hi, A again. Oh, you tricked me. Hi, A again. A Ron. A friend wants to do the Purif. He's done it once. I made him watch Aftermath. Thought it cured him. Oh, cured him of Scientology. Any ideas on how to deter? Hey, someone who's determined to give up their money and their time for something that's really stupid indicates a level of belief that is a level of belief and a level of faith that is hard to tangle with. There is literally no scientific evidence for the Purif. There is, it is, you do not detoxify your body through sweat. There might be the tiniest trace elements of something in sweat. You do not get rid of toxins in the fat by drinking oil and eating lecithin. It is all complete quack science. But like I said, a Scientologist deciding to do these things is really just demonstrating faith. They're demonstrating belief. And it just happens to be like an extra level of wacky that a Scientologist has also convinced themselves that Scientology isn't about faith and isn't about belief. And yet they do stupid things like this. So I wish I'd give you better advice, Love It. I mean, if he's watched the Aftermath, I don't know what else. Oh, you know what? Okay. The only other thing I could suggest, have him read Madman or Messiah by Russell Miller and say, if you read this book and then you still want to do the Purif, then you have my blessing. And if he's a friend, he'll go, and you know, it's educational anyway. So what would be his reason? If he already watched the Aftermath, he certainly could read Barefaced Madman. Did I say Barefaced Messiah is the one that there's also Madman or Messiah, but the book that I meant to say is Barefaced Messiah. Yeah, that's the one. If I happen to misstate it earlier. Thank you, Love It. Okay. H Mac. In regards to LRH coming back, what does Scientology look for? Nothing. There's no procedure. Most people had no idea LRH was supposed to come back. Only the people at International Management even knew that LRH was supposed to, or had ever said that maybe he was coming back. All the other Scientologists in the world did not expect him to come back. So there's no procedure. Is there a reading on the e-meter to determine if a person says they're LRH in a new body? Nope. Such a thing does not exist. Not even in Scientology land. Thank you, HMAC. Franny Galanders. I love this name. Franny Galanders. What would the purpose have been for Leah to get Jennifer Lopez to join Scientology? Well, she didn't. She didn't get Jennifer Lopez to join Scientology. Do celebrities get perks for other celebrities? Is it just a power trip for DM to have more celebrities in Scientology? Oh, I think you're asking because Miscavige wanted Leah to get Jennifer Lopez into Scientology. Did you guys know Jennifer Lopez's father was a Scientologist? I mean, he might still be. I don't know. When I was in the Sea Org in LA, Jennifer Lopez's father was a Scientologist and had been for a long time. So what would the purpose have been? Oh, the purpose is Scientology wants as many celebrities in Scientology as possible because celebrities are, just the best endorsements of any product. Really, that's why brands will pay celebrities millions of dollars to appear in silly commercials. There's nothing deeper to this than just purely the marketing angle. They think celebrities are good for business, good for PR, good for clout. And that's literally the only reason. Truly. Thank you, Franny. I really appreciate it. Let's see. How far behind the chat am I right now? Oh, I'm catching up. I'm only 28 minutes behind the chat. Okay, let's see. Catherine S. Shoop with You shows up at 2 hours and 1 minute on the BFG stream yesterday. No wonder I didn't see it. I'm pretty sure I stopped watching at the 2 hour mark. But that's helpful. So if I go back, I can find it there. Thank you, Catherine. Heather Smith. Was Suri Cruz believed to be the LRH reincarnated? Absolutely not. You have to understand, this whole idea of LRH being reincarnated is just because it's something that LRH said he was going to come back 10 or 20 years after his death, and he only told a small number of people at the international base. It's not a thing. Miscavige would never let it be a thing. Now, of course, there's that loaded question, but what if somebody could prove it? Well, okay, that's that. If somebody could prove it, I mean, like, if what it would take for someone to prove they were actually LRH reincarnated would be he would have to demonstrate clear, total, and perfect recall of everything that happened in L. Ron Hubbard's life, including the things only Miscavige and others would know about. It wouldn't have anything to do with the E-meter. Remember, Miscavige worked with Hubbard. So it's like there's not a test. We're in La La Land here because there's no such thing as what we're talking about. But if there were, it would be Miscavige himself who would, like, the reincarnated LRH would not have any question as to what he would need to do or say to prove to everyone in Scientology that he was the reincarnated LRH. So, but there was never any chit chat about Suri Cruz being the LRH reincarnated. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. Clearwater Chad, your favorite channel is Clearwater Chad, right? Oh, well, it's on the list, Chad. It's definitely on the list. If anybody hasn't subscribed to Clearwater Chad's channel, go and check it out. He does some funny satire videos on Tampa Brad. Okay, Ace. Reckless Ben needs legal help. Send Zach his way. Does Ben need legal help? I've actually been in touch with Ben recently. And if he does need legal help, that can always be arranged. I mean, Zach doesn't practice. Wait. Ben is in California. Yeah, Zach doesn't practice in California, but there's plenty of other attorneys who do. Thank you, Ace X. I appreciate that. All right, let's see. How far behind the chat am I now? Okay, 25 minutes. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Denver Stevo, frequent flyer. Soon Aaron's most favoriteest YouTube channel will be that of the great Denver Stevo. Joe Rogan ain't got nothing on me and Osa. FYI, Osa smells like LRH's teeth. Do you actually have a YouTube channel, Denver Stevo? If so, shoot me a link. Email me. I've never checked it out. So if you got some stuff, shoot me a link. growingupinScientology@gmail.com. Thank you, Denver Stevo. Always good to hear from you. Petrazi 20 super sticker. Thank you, Petrazi. I appreciate that. Okay, Muriel. Oh my gosh, the Y-Files just mentioned Scientology as a cult. It will post tomorrow. The Emerald Tablet of Atlantis. I love your channel and his check it. Muriel, there's no way I'm going to remember that. But if you could email me a link at growingupinscientology@gmail.com, I would appreciate it. I'm not sure if this is an audio only podcast or a YouTube podcast. If it's audio only, I'm never going to make my way over there to podcast land, but I'm hoping it's YouTube and that you can send me a link. That would be amazing. And I definitely will check it out. Thank you, Muriel. Edna Lead, thank you for the super sticker. Brian Cass, thank you for the super sticker. Oh, look, Apostate Alex says pain is number 47. It is definitely one of the perceptics. Yeah, I feel like Scientology is walking on thin ice from having a pain station. Yeah. We're going to have to ask Ian Rafalco what they do at the pain station. Does it involve rubber bands, leather chains, whips, Tom Cruise and Dave acting out their fantasies? Who knows? I guess we'll find out, though. Thank you for that, Alex. Joshua Turnage. How does the Sea Org find people to operate the ship if they're low in membership when it takes several years to learn to operate the ship? They've had the same captain for 40 years. I think they do, in fact, send Sea Org members to do the actual training necessary to do the navigation jobs. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee you there's going to be someone who actually has experience working on the ship, not just in the service org, but in the ship org, who can jump in on the comments or even send me an email. If someone sends me an email with the answer to this question, then I'll be better equipped to give you a really good answer. But believe me, they are not just using untrained Sea Org members to do actual maritime ship, the type of duties that require training and licensing and stuff like that. I promise you that's not happening. They would hire a non-Scientologist to do the job before they would actually do that. At least that's my understanding. But can you imagine if I'm wrong, though? Imagine if I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. That would be way too risky, in my opinion. But hopefully someone can reach out to me and I'll know for sure. Thank you, Joshua. This one's going to be hard. All Hazards Gaming Goo. The Ghost of LRH would be like the YouTube series if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, but even more unhinged. Well, that's making reference to something I'm not familiar with, but which sounds hilarious. If you shoot me a link to that, I would love to see that. Thank you, All Hazards. Fabian, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Debbie Bruce, I love Mentor Pilot 2. Such cool content and learn so much. I think he lives in Spain, though, for some reason. He might live in Spain, but he's not Spanish. He's not Spanish. He's got to be Swedish or Dutch or something. That's not a Spanish accent. But what do I know? Actually, I do know a lot of accents. I know people from all these countries, and I'm pretty good with accents, actually. Thank you, Debbie. Jay Dice is back. Rogan was primarily podcast when he established his show. Your balance of content is better for your style of show. My cousin Tim has a podcast, LG Enough 3 Million Hampton's Place, and is friends with Rogan, by the way. Wait, Tim? LG. Okay, I'm sorry. I do have to Google this. LG Enough. I know you're not talking about Tim Dillon. LG Enough 3 Million Hampton's Place. LG Enough 3 million. The hell does that mean? I got nothing on that. JDS, your cousin better not be Tim Dillon. My cousin Tim Dillon my cousin Tim has a podcast. LG Enough. Okay, I'm just going to search LG Enough. Hold on. Large Enough. You're saying Large Enough. Large Enough 3 million. Is your fucking cousin Tim Dillon? If your cousin is Tim Dillon, he's one of my absolute favorite comedians, but there's no way that's true. I'm not going to get my hopes up. If your cousin is Tim Dillon, tell him I said hi. You should come on the show with me. Actually, if your cousin is Tim Dillon, he should bring me on his show so we can talk shit about Scientology, because Tim Dillon's one of the funniest people who has ever existed. All right, next one here. Nulty Music. Are you familiar with the AA program? Do you mean the AA Ron program? Sorry. Some people call it a cult, but I'm curious what you think. I'm 9 years sober through AA, so I'm biased. Well, let me tell you. The people that I know who have many years of experience with AA. What they tell me about AA, I go, that is obviously a cult. I know somebody who either tonight or tomorrow was going to a big book, like a big book study. I'm like, what's a big book study? Like, it's like Bible study. I'm like, if it's like Bible study, then you're in a cult. And they go, well, not really like Bible study. And I go, no, you're saying it's not really like Bible study because it's not really a Bible, but it's like Bible study because you guys treat it, the big book, like a Bible. To me, it's a cult. But hey, some people get helped from cults. I mean, some people think Scientology helped them. So when I say it's a cult, I mean, look, cult's a really loaded word. But when I use the word, I use it with the frame of reference of Scientology. And when I hear about AA, I want to go, are you serious? You're kidding me, right? Like, people buy this shit. And I'm sorry, I know you're saying you've been doing it for 9 years. But I'm like, there's something to be said for giving somebody structure and giving somebody all that good stuff. And that's the argument that a lot of people make for religion in general. But when I hear about AA, I go, oh my God, that's so fucking culty. That's my take on it. But what do I know, guys? I grew up in a cult. Thank you, Nulty Music. Okay, Joe Birchfield. Can anybody from the street go in for an audit? Do you need to pay for classes before that step, or could get synced into schizotherapy? So technically speaking, anybody can go in and do an introductory level course that involves getting auditing. But the reason why it's not literally anybody is because you can't be on drugs. You can't have drank within 24 hours. You can't have had any prior history with seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor. You can't really have a history of being on a psychotropic medications. So there will be a little bit of gatekeeping that occurs even at the lowest levels. But I think probably for $100 or $200, most people would be able to get in the door and get a little course action going on and get a little auditing action going on. I don't recommend it, but that's just the answer to your question. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see who is up next. Oh, Valerie Boljak. More about the media training to teach you how to talk conversational, but and not just monotone reading. It's for brand new folks. I get it. That makes sense. I should have known. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that. I'm going to skip that one. Sorry, emailer. I already talk enough shit at the right times. No need to do it in the Q&A. Sorry. Justin Schrank. Do you ever get angry about your time in Scientology when you think about periods of your life that it caused you to miss out on? Thanks so much for your content. My favorite YouTube channel. Thank you so much. The answer is no. So remember, the earliest parts of my life, the parts I missed out on, I was taken out of school in the 7th grade. Technically, I did 7th grade in homeschool, technically. So technically, I finished the 7th grade. So the only parts of school that I missed out on was 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, I can tell you that I was not a very socially adjusted person. Like, it was me and my brother, and, we always had each other. But other than that, like, we did not enjoy school. So, yeah. We were always the youngest and smallest kids in our class as well. We were also usually the poorest kids in our class. So school life for us was not fun. I do not regret not having gone to high school. It seems like people either have a great time in high school or they have a horrible time. Now, obviously, I realize most people are somewhere in the middle there. I do not consider that my high school experience would have been a good, positive experience for me. Compared to that, studying in Scientology was probably better for me during those years. And also, if we ignore for the fact that Scientology is a family destroying human trafficking cult, I did gain an awful lot of life experience in those early formative years. When I say life experience, I don't mean like, on the streets, street smarts. I don't mean that. I mean, just dealing with people who are professionals. And I don't want to get off into the weeds, but I do feel like I sort of got very, very lucky in a way that my version of my Scientology experience, as horrible as it was in many ways, as many of you know, was also somehow just happened to be a certain type of experience that has served me very well in life, at least in my opinion, it has. Not the knowledge that I studied, not the Scientology that I studied, but the experience of the work that I did. That's a differentiation that's actually quite important. I'm not saying studying Scientology set me up well in life. It was almost the experience of having to deal with all the people that I dealt with in the course of doing the jobs that I had gave me people skills, gave me communication skills, gave me some, allowed me to practice, I think, some of my problem solving skills in a way that no one would ever be exposed to in high school and probably not even college. So I do wish that I had had a college experience. I do wish that I had that area of my life where I was just allowed to take 4 years to study everything under the sun, moon, and stars about something I was truly, truly passionate about. I wish for me that hadn't been Scientology. Do you know what I mean? I do wish that I, but when I say wish, that's not tied to regret. I do not regret my time in Scientology. I really, really don't. Yeah, that's the answer. Thank you, Justin. Okay, next one. Buffy Lynn. Oh no, I think you just invited Osa on your cruise. Buffy, I was thinking about this. God help the sorry private investigator that Scientology hires to follow us onto this cruise. Because first of all, it could never be one, right? There's going to be like 20 of us. And if anybody can spot a Scientology PI, it's Mark Headley. Any PI that is identified on this cruise and is going to be stuck on this, we are going to make this person's life some combination of a living hell and a tragic comedy. Like, I hope Scientology is sending PIs on this cruise. You guys know I've been dying to be able to pounce on a Scientology PI with cameras running, and to have me and Headley and Claire and Mike and Christy and some others all ready to rock and roll. If there's Scientology PI spotted, that would be a dream come true. Please send the private investigators. It almost makes me want to give the name of the ship and my boarding time. That would be so freaking exciting. So don't worry, Buffy. We got that on lockdown. Okay, Cassie Isaac. When you say your videos get demonetized, what does that mean? You still get your share of the super chats, right? Oh, yeah. In fact, yeah, that's different. So monetization is when YouTube puts ads into your videos and then you get a share of that. That's all that means. In fact, I'm guessing, yeah, even if they demonetize your video, that only means they've deemed that your content is not advertiser friendly, but YouTube super chats are not ads. They're donations from viewers. So that's a totally separate subject, totally separate issue. And that might even be why some very big controversial YouTubers, if like politically oriented channels that have been demonetized, you'll see these guys do like 8-hour live streams. And it's probably for that very reason, because their videos can't get ads, but they can get super chats. So yeah, that's all that means. So if you're watching a video and all of a sudden an ad pops up, and it's like skip ad in 3 seconds. By the way, a content creator still gets paid on an ad even if you skip it. That's totally okay. Don't feel like you have to watch ads. I refuse to watch ads. I pay for YouTube Premium. It's like, I don't know, it used to be like $15 a month. I think they keep raising the price. I pay whatever monthly subscription it is to YouTube so that I do not see ads on any videos. And you know what's funny? I even get paid, like any content creator that has a monetized video gets paid on the ads that someone who has YouTube Premium doesn't watch, if that makes sense. And it gives you all the analytics on the back end. 10% of the revenue that I get from YouTube actually comes from people who pay for YouTube Premium and watch my videos and don't watch the ads, if that makes sense. So that's what demonetized means, Cassie. Thank you. I actually really enjoy talking about like the YouTube, the business side of YouTube. I don't know that it's very popular to talk about that kind of stuff, but I enjoy explaining it to people because I find it fascinating. Thank you, Cassie. Okay. Hi, Osa. Aaron won't be sued. You are wasting your time. What is someone in the chat talking about me being sued or something? I only wish that somebody would sue me. That would make my life so exciting. It would give me so much content. I would just love it. Scientologists can't sue me. They won't sue me. They never will. That's why I can get up here and call these guys all sorts of things. Now, I don't make anything up. All of it's totally accurate. But I'll say shit the New York Times won't say because they're afraid of getting sued. I'll say shit bloggers, some bloggers you might be familiar with, will never say because they're terrified of getting sued. Thank you for that. Okay, Anthony Spurgeon, do Scientologists have to like Hubbard's fiction? No, you don't have to like it. You'll get in trouble if you're like literally talking shit about it, because that's just not what you do in front of polite company. No, you definitely don't have to like it. But I will be honest about this. I actually really like L. Ron Hubbard's fiction. I mean, now maybe that's because it's, you know, it's what I read growing up, sort of. I read Mission Earth like 3 times. I've read Battlefield Earth. Battlefield Earth, the movie, is the worst movie ever made. Battlefield Earth, the book, really good book, in my opinion. But I've spoken to other former Scientologists who think Battlefield Earth is unreadable. So who knows? But no, you don't really have to like it. Okay, Kalila McDonald, chat is full of Scientology tonight. Hello, Osa. Oh, is it? See, you guys, other than the comments that I select, I guess Goldie not here. You guys know I never even give anyone a heads up. I scheduled this live chat 5 minutes before going live. Goldie might not even be here. Let me see. I see mentions of Goldie here. Oh no, there's Goldie. Goldie's here. Okay, but I guess you're just saying Goldie's got her hands full tonight because the chat is full of Scientology folks. That's just great. I love it. You know what would be hilarious is if Katie Lohmann was in the chat talking mad shit. Oh, that would be full circle glorious. Okay, Catherine S. I'm pretty sure there's a sec check for anyone claiming to be a Scientologist in a past life, much less claiming to be LRH. Yeah, Catherine, it's not a standardized sec check. It would just be a tailor-made sec check. Anybody claiming to be anything that matters in your past, you're going to get sec checked on it, because a sec check is how you're supposed to basically get to the truth of anything in Scientology, is through sec checking. It's a special version of auditing that's an interrogation. So, and you can come up with whatever sec check questions that you want. So sec check is just generally used as a description for the type of auditing where it's designed to get to the truth of the matter. It's not designed to help you go spiritually free. Okay, I see one. Maddie O, first super chat. Fantastic. I live in the Boston area and hadn't even realized there was a Boston org. Is it even utilized or just another empty org? Boston org used to be the biggest, booming, most successful Scientology org in the entire world. Now it is abandoned practically. In fact, one of the videos that I was trying to do today, but I didn't have enough time, is there was like a city council meeting recently, and apparently all the musicians in Boston are losing all their jam session spaces, and they went to the city council and made an argument for why doesn't the city just foreclose on the abandoned Scientology property and set it up as a jam session space for all the musicians in the city. Now, I might be slightly misrepresenting the events of the city council session because I haven't seen the video yet. I just got an email about it. But yeah, Boston is such an abandoned area for Scientology that they're literally talking about taking the building back so musicians can have a place to play. Thank you, Maddie. And congratulations on your first super chat. And thank you for your super chat. I appreciate it. Simone Ferran, always good to see you, Simone. Hey, Aaron, I hope all is well with you and your family. Well, thank you so very, very much. Everything is quite well. The girls are growing up fast. They're doing great in school, and they're staying out of trouble. So that's what matters. Thank you. Super sticker from Joe Bloggins. Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. Okay, so Eva Bandana, excited to see the SPTV network growing. Gives me hope that the Nicaraguan government cult will find its dead end too. Keep up the great work. Wow. It sounds like you're actually talking about something specific, not just Scientology. I don't know what the Nicaraguan government cult is. Is the government of Nicaragua a cult? If so, maybe someone down there wants to start a channel, an SPTV network channel talking about it. How about that? That would be exciting. Thank you, Eva. Okay, Trounser. Where does Hubbard claim to have gotten the info of Scientology from? Does he say he had a vision, or is it like Mormonism getting tablets from angels? You know, Hubbard doesn't actually get into this very much. One of the best answers is he does claim that he was Buddha. He claims that he was Buddha. He created Buddhism. He tried to create the state of Bodhi. He thought Bodhi was a permanent state. It turns out it was only temporary. So L. Ron Hubbard had to reincarnate as L. Ron Hubbard to create and develop Scientology, to create the state of clear, which L. Ron Hubbard says is the permanent version of Bodhi, which turned out to only be, or Bodhi, which turned out to be temporary. That's what L. Ron Hubbard says. Beyond that, he doesn't actually ever make a claim or tell a story for how he came to be the great spirit known as L. Ron Hubbard. You would think that would be an important part of the story, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think that that would be pretty key to why everyone believes, all the Scientologists are supposed to believe all the words of L. Ron Hubbard? And yet it's the one thing he actually says, we will not speculate as to how I came to rise above the bank. And I'm like, well, can we speculate a little? Like, throw us a bone. Nothing. Thank you, Trounser. All right, Megan Road. Oh, I got to get this one. Megan Road. I'm going for Road. The last E's got to be silent, right? Road. Megan Road. Just wanted to say hello and keep it up. Thank you, Megan. I really appreciate it. And you better believe that we will. Here we go. Kathy O'Toole. So you get paid by Cardone for his ad? 100%. It also means, I know you guys are seeing Scientology ads on my videos too. It means Scientology is literally paying me to do my videos shitting on little Captain Keebler Miscavige. I mean, seriously, it doesn't get, they say we're funded by Big Pharma. Screw that. We're funded by Miscavige himself and Grant Cardone. Amazing. All right, Joe Birchfield. If you saw a psychiatrist one time, are you banned from auditing forever? What's the line? Ever taking prescribed drugs? Ever actively taking them during it? No, it's not if you just saw it one time. In fact, this is something that Scientology will interview about and sec check you about and try to determine. Like if you saw a psychiatrist, even for a couple months, but you never took any medication, you're probably okay. If you took medication, but it was prescribed by a doctor who's not a psychiatrist, like I know psychiatrists or doctors, but if you took the medication and it was prescribed by an MD and not by a psychiatrist, you're also okay. The cutoff time tends to be about a few months. And it's not a bright red line in the sand. It's not a bright red line. It's a little subjective. It's a little fungible. And I guess it depends on how desperate they are for new people to audit. You know what I'm saying? And it probably also depends on how much money you have. So, but generally speaking, in my experience, the line has been drawn at somewhere around a few months. It also depends on how often. And the major factor is whether you're on medication, not whether you had talk therapy. Thank you for that, Joe. Okay, so CJ Chick 29, Aaron or Aaron, tie up the PI and interrogate them on YouTube. Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it would be something amazing. Okay, Samantha Gala, can you do a video about Jenna Elfman? You know, I would if there was a very specific subject that was important and relevant, and where, like, what I'm not going to do is just a video going, hey, everybody, Jenna Elfman is a Scientologist. That's not interesting. But if there were ever any news items about Jenna, if Jenna ever left Scientology, of course, if Jenna got into trouble, I would definitely do a video about it. Okay, well, guess what, guys? Guess what? We finished all the chats. Amazing. 2 hours and 13 minutes. This is almost my longest live stream Q&A, but not quite. We're damn close. But hey, we did it all. It's been a long night. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fantastic. I'm not going to promise that I won't do this again tomorrow night. Oh, let me hide that comment. I always forget to hide the last comment. There's a chance. If I'm already packed, locked and loaded and ready to go, I got no other errands to run, I got nothing else to do, I might just be here. I mean, look, we're driving to the port at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But again, I might just do this again tomorrow, you guys. I don't know. I don't want to do this so much that everyone gets sick of it. But here's the other thing to remember. You know, there's 1,700 people watching right now. There's 1 million people. There's 1 billion people on the internet. So I also like to keep in mind that you're not always talking to the same people. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the super chats and the super stickers. It's been a ton of fun. And hit that like button. Hit that. Yeah, people have been telling me that they've been checking. They see they've been unsubscribed and they didn't realize it. Check that subscribe button. See if you're actually subscribed. All right, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.